Hello, I'm Bill Paxton, Mayor of the City of Paducah, and welcome to Quality of Life Matters in Paducah, Kentucky. I've told you all many times in past shows that quality of life can be many different things. It can be good roads, it can be good jobs, maybe a good police department, good fire department, parks. So when you have a good quality of life, it can mean many different things. One thing it means, in my opinion, is when the city goes out and hires good people, good quality people that are talented and know how to do their job. And so today I have with me Jeff Peterson, our new city manager. And when we hired Jeff, we did a nationwide search to find the best city manager that we possibly could, because we wanted somebody that was going to come to Paducah and make good decisions and work with the City Commission to move Paducah and McCracken County forward. So today we have Jeff with us. Jeff, welcome.
Thank you.
Good to have you with us, and wanted to give you a chance to answer some questions and for the people of Paducah to kind of get to know you a little bit.
Wonderful.
So it's good to have you in Paducah. Jeff has been here since really the 1st of December, off and on. And so he and I are continuing to get to know each other better all the time, working together better. So Jeff, let's get right to it. Why don't you tell the audience a little bit about your experience as city manager or city administrator in Grand Island?
Well, I had the opportunity to be city administrator in Grand Island, Nebraska for about 3 years and 3 months, as it turns out, and it was a very fulfilling experience. Organization a little bigger than the City of Paducah organization, about 500 employees, and probably the biggest distinction between that organization and the city organization here is that we didn't use as many boards and commissions, so the electric department was under the city council, as was the sewer and so on and so forth. So I was maybe a little bit closer to those operations in some senses, although here in Paducah I have the privilege of serving on the board of the power company, or the public power company, so I'm still active, only in a little different role. So again, probably most challenging thing there, as has been the case in most areas around the country the last 2 or 3 years, has been finance and the effects of the economic downturn. So, we work through that, or put a lot of things in place, I think, to get us past that and try to maintain quality services as you have done in Paducah. So, that's been a common theme everywhere, and that was a lot of the focus of my work there, along with numerous other things, obviously.
What about before Grand Island? Where else have you been in your career, Jeff?
Well, I've pretty much been in the Midwest. I'm a native of South Dakota, born, raised, and educated there. My first two jobs actually were in Iowa, not too far away. And then I had the opportunity to come back to South Dakota and be considered for one of what were only 2 city manager jobs in the whole state of South Dakota at the time, and one of them happened to be Vermillion, which is the home of the University of South Dakota, where I'd gone to college. So it was an opportunity to sort of come home, and I did, and managed that city for about 13 years. So I had a good long tenure there, and of course, a lot of family things went on during that time in terms of raising children and being involved in a lot of other activities. So that all, that tenure ended at a certain point in time, and I've done a few other things since that time, including actually going to work for a public power agency and sort of trying life outside of city government proper, and ultimately got back into city management with the City of Dodge City, Kansas, and then to Grand Island, Nebraska after that. So my tenures have not been as long as what it was in Vermillion, but I've grown from different experiences and to seeing different setups in different cities, and experiencing even some cultural differences by, being in areas that maybe were a little bit removed from where I'd been in South Dakota and Iowa for those number of years.
While we're on this, you mentioned you worked for a power company in your past. It is a tradition here in Paducah that the city manager serves on the board of our power company, Paducah Power, and so I was pleased to put Jeff on there, and I'm also pleased to learn about the past experience that he had, because this is a time, Jeff, when there's lots going on with Paducah Power, and kind of give us, while we're talking about that, give us a little indication of your thoughts on Paducah Power.
Well, Paducah Power is undertaking a huge transformation from a power purchasing utility to a power generating utility, with the decision to buy into the coal plant north of here and also construct the peaking plant. It really puts Paducah Power in much greater control of its destiny in terms of power purchasing and power supply, and that's ultimately going to be a good thing for the ratepayers of Paducah Power. And the opportunity to buy into a coal fired generation plant is a good thing, because coal remains amongst the cheapest sources of electricity. So ultimately, I think the ratepayers of Paducah Power are going to benefit from those decisions.
Well, we're glad to have you on board with Paducah Power.
Thank you.
And what's your impression of Paducah, Jeff, so far in the roughly 2 months that you've been here?
Well, it's vibrant, certainly, both in terms of what's happening around town, but also I think the enthusiasm that folks have for what's happening as well as for the future, and that's really what it takes to move a community forward. Is that confidence and enthusiasm in the future, and the city of Paducah plays a prominent role in that, as not only, as you mentioned early on, providing first-class public services, but supporting and promoting initiatives to move things forward, or to grow things in the quality of life area and the economic development area. And those are, while they may not be traditional functions of government going back, such as streets and fire and police, they are important functions, and there's a lot of evidence out there that the involvement of the city of Paducah in those areas has made a big difference.
I've said often, I say it all the time, that we're very fortunate to have the quality of the volunteers that we have that choose to serve on Paducah Power Board, Paducah Water, JSA, the Chamber, Greater Paducah Economic Development. So not only do we have people volunteer for these boards, but we have good, talented, smart people volunteer. And you got to have that to partner with the public sector in order to make your community grow. So I've always been impressed with that, and I think you're beginning to realize that. And I also brag a lot about our department heads and our employees. And Jeff, you're getting to know these people now. You're meeting with all the department heads, and you're getting to know the staff. Give me your impression of the quality of our department heads and staff.
Well, first off, let me say that I think that the workforce is ultimately the biggest asset that any organization has in terms of capability to carry out the mission and the programs and activities. And of course, that's very important to the City of Paducah organization and ultimately the residents of Paducah, that we have good quality people on board to provide those things, be it management or people on the street. So it is a big issue there, and I think there's a strong realization on the part of the community, the City Commission, certainly myself, of that importance. So having said that, I've been very impressed with what I've seen. Obviously, I've spent more time with the directors than I have other employees in the organization, but over time I'll become more acquainted with many of them and what they do. But as the directors are concerned, we have a very talented group and a very dedicated group. They have a strong affinity for Paducah and the area, and I think they've got a good understanding of the connection between what they do and things like quality of life and things like public confidence in the services that the city provide and public trust in what we do, and those are all very important qualities. And when you've got good people doing good work, you have a public that understands and appreciates that, and those are the connections that we want to have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, we all know that all cities have its challenges. And as you're getting to know Paducah and our area, what do you see as some of our biggest challenges over the next 3 to 4 to 5 years?
Well, I think if I didn't mention finance as one of those, I would probably be questioned as to whether I was being upfront and honest and sincere. Paducah physically is a growing community, and with that physical growth come additional service responsibilities for the city. So we need to find a way to continue to provide quality services with increased demand. So that kind of kicks it back to the revenue base, and we are primarily a payroll tax dependent city, at least where our general fund's concerned, and that's an economic issue in terms of what's generating revenue for the city is the employment base in the community. So what that tells you is that the city is a major stakeholder in economic development in the community. We need to promote it, we need to support it any way we can, because the fact of the matter is, along with all the other positive aspects of a strong employment base, it feeds the city's budget. So we need to recognize that connection, and I think the City of Paducah has done a good job of that. So, in answer to your question also is we do have to be aware of where the opportunities lie to grow our economic base and what the role of government might be to be a catalyst or a difference maker or just a supporter, whatever the case might be. And also recognizing in that same regard, again, as you mentioned in your opening remarks, how important city services are to decisions of good companies on matters of reinvestment or relocation to the community. A good police department is an important consideration. Good quality fire service, good park and recreation opportunities for the employees. Those are all top 10 items in the list of considerations that companies make on decisions to relocate or to reinvest in a given community. That's a very important role and responsibility for city government. So again, we have to be aware of all those important roles that we play and make sure that we have in place a strong financial foundation budgetarily so that we can carry those out.
Well, you're exactly right. I've mentioned this before on a prior show that our bond rating now is a AA minus, and that's up two positions from where it was 5 years ago. And that also has happened while we have been lowering our property tax from 40 cents per hundred to 25 cents per hundred. So this city commission is physically responsible, and we want to be physically responsible, but there are things that you have to do, and as you pointed out, we are growing physically. We are a hub of this area. We're a hub in the medical community. We're a hub in retail, in the river industry, and so consequently, our population grows dramatically during the daytime when you have people in with all those services. And there are just certain things you have to do, and there are certain things you want to do, Jeff, in order to make your community continue to grow. So it'll be a prosperous community and a growing community.
Right.
You said earlier it's a vibrant community. We think it's vibrant also. And so, but it doesn't happen without a lot of hard work. And so, while we're talking about jobs, you've met Chad Chancellor, and you met most of our board. That's Greater Paducah Economic Development. What's your thoughts on how we're handling economic development here, and just any comments you might have on that?
Well, I think there's good teamwork in place amongst the various agencies that concern themselves with that. I'm excited, and I think it's very positive that Paducah Economic Development is undertaking a strategic planning process. And as I understand it, a draft of some of that is going to be out in the not too distant future. So I'm looking very forward to that, and seeing what it might mean for city government, as is the city commission and yourself, obviously, and in terms of maybe helping us define our role and understanding better where we can play a part in the effort to grow Paducah. So that's a positive thing. I mean, what that means is people are getting together and thinking forward and looking for opportunities, trying to anticipate those so that they can prepare for them and put themselves in a position to seize those opportunities when they come along. So that's all good, and I'm glad to know that that's happening here.
Mm-hmm. I also talk a lot about the fact that we're doing traditional economic development through Chad Chancellor and Greater Paducah Economic Development. We're doing the regional park. We're helping Mayfield and the region develop that regional park in Graves County. We're also working hard for Entre Paducah in order to encourage people to start their own company, to become entrepreneurs. And then we're working hard on our facility out at USEC to try to encourage nuclear-based companies to move into this area. So it seems to me like, and I feel like, we're working on economic development from 4 areas. And I just think as hard as we're working, good things are going to happen. And so I think your comments were good in that area. Speaking about economic development, Jeff, I'll let you talk a little bit about your old job. You were very instrumental in moving the state fair from Lincoln, Nebraska to Grand Island, Nebraska. How exactly did that come about?
Well, I could speak for 2 hours on it. I'll try to be as succinct as I can. The State Fair, what is known as State Fair Park, is actually on the campus of the University of Nebraska. And like all major higher education institutions, they're always looking for more land. And the University of Nebraska had a plan to create what's called an innovation campus there, which is not an unusual thing for major universities to do, using the land that the State Fair resided on. So there was a lot of pressure and expectation there. And like many state fairs, a lot of the physical assets had fallen into disrepair, and it was difficult for the state to find money to reinvest in those, especially when the University of Nebraska was kind of trying to push, can you put this somewhere else? So an opportunity came for communities across the state to express an interest in becoming the new home of the Nebraska State Fair. And a few of us huddled up in Grand Island and quickly made a decision, well, we ought to go for it. We had an opportunity through a campus in Grand Island. I don't mean a college campus, but a large piece of ground that was owned by the County Livestock Association, i.e. the county fair, an entity known as Fawner Park that, by the way, hosts a thoroughbred horse racing track in Nebraska, but nonetheless encompassed an area of close to 300 acres, a lot of which was undeveloped. So we arguably had the space to host. So using that as sort of the foundation and putting a lot of thought to what all might come after that, the community made a presentation. And I wasn't part of the group that made the push with the legislature, and I wasn't so much involved in the political part of it originally as I was in the, once the support materialized politically for Grand Island to host this, how do we put the pieces together? So it was what I like to describe it as a coming together of a number of entities that pretty much are independent, or had been, such as the Nebraska State Fair, the University of Nebraska, the University of Nebraska Foundation, Hall County, the City of Grand Island, so on and so forth. So these are players in and of their own right that don't necessarily have a track record of having worked together on projects before, and all of a sudden we have a mammoth project, and how can we come together with the common interest of relocating the state fair and put a roadmap together. So that was the art of the whole thing, and the coming together that I think is really, in many ways, the proudest accomplishment, is having those major entities, major players, major personalities, major office holders all come together to agree upon a plan. So, I represented the City of Grand Island in many of those negotiations, multiple contracts, everything from land leases to decisions about how the city's investment in the state fair was going to play out in terms of, was it going to be a building or was it going to be this, and then if it was going to be a building, what was going to happen to the building for the 11 months when the state fair wasn't running. So a lot of complexities, but again, at the end of the day, a real coming together in the best interests of all of those players. So the lesson from that is, when you've got a common interest, common goal, people can come together through goodwill, through hard work, through focus on a big outcome that everybody's after. And we did all that, and the offshoot of it was the University of Nebraska has its land back so they can do their innovation park. And Grand Island has the state fair. Not everybody in Nebraska is happy, but a lot of people are, and the first fair was held in Grand Island this past September. And I might mention, just to give folks an idea of what happened in a narrow time frame, the construction of almost 500,000 square foot of new buildings took place in a 13-month period from start to finish, and that included a Nebraska winter. So that's a big credit to a lot of things, not the least of which, anecdotally, would be the contractors that were hired to construct the building. So it's quite a story.
Yeah, it's impressive. And of course, I think all of us have seen, as we were growing up, football games between Texas and Oklahoma. And at that game, you were always looking at State Fair. I guess it was the Texas State Fair at that time. In the background, you'd see the Ferris wheel going around, and they always had that game, I think, on during the fair. So, so when you said that in Nebraska, it was located on the Nebraska campus, that's interesting.
Not quite as near the football stadium as there, but nonetheless there. And again, we all know how prime space is on a major university campus. So again, it was a coming together where everybody's best interests were served, and again, collectively. And another nice thing about the relocation of the fair is that it provided the opportunity for the fair to modernize itself, not just in the physical presence, but even in some of the programming, because a lot of, as we know, tradition is a big part of fairs. So I think what happened there was a retaining of the important traditions of the fair, but the opportunity to create some new ones, and maybe in some ways even go back to the roots of the fair, which is an ag-based sort of thing, as it is, I think, in most states, but yet marry that with some new opportunities that technology provides to present things differently, or maybe even to emphasize some different things than what the fair had traditionally done.
Tell us, we're running out of time here quickly, but tell us a little bit about your hobbies. What does Jeff Peterson like to do in his spare time?
Well, I've done a few different things in recent years. I'm an avid reader, book collector. That's something people don't really see me do, because that's what I do at home. But outwardly, I ride a motorcycle a little bit. I like to get out and travel around on two wheels and do that, and my wife enjoys that with me. I've spent a lot of time in past years involved with the sport of soccer, something my children got interested in, and 20 years or so ago, at least in the part of the country that I was in where that was a new sport, as a parent, you were looked to step forward and help out in some capacity, whether it be as a coach or a referee or what have you. I answered both calls. Yeah. And so I have done a lot of coaching of soccer, and not something that I'm doing presently or have done much of the last few years. I still referee soccer at both the youth level and the high school level, and look forward to the opportunity to perhaps stay involved in that here in the Paducah area.
Good, good. Well, you all have heard, the TV audience has heard what Jeff Peterson is all about. We have a lot on our plate at the city. We have budgeting coming along here fairly soon, and all the challenges that go with that. But I'm convinced that Jeff is up to the challenge of leading Paducah and working with the City Commission on doing exactly that, growing this community, creating jobs, helping create a quality of life that we can all be proud of, and make Paducah a state-of-the-art city going forward. So, Jeff, good to have you with us today. Welcome to Paducah.
Thank you very much.
Look forward to having your family here at some point. And to our TV audience, welcome to another show of Quality of Life Matters. And we will see you next time. Thank you.